tonight. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Do we have anybody for open forum? We do not. All right. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda to include the regular and special open session minutes? Approve the FFA trip, approve the MSGB trip, and approve the HFMB trip.
So basketball camps.
Okay. All right, high school, men's basketball, girls basketball, or middle school girls basketball.
Do you want a motion to approve all of those?
Let's do it all once.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, special open session, and approve the 3 trips as listed.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any corrections or additions to any of these or questions? All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. I think we're going to take that approach from now on, make it move a little quicker. Can I get a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills?
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer and payment of bills.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any questions on transfer and payment of bills?
I was just curious what the, I don't know how to say it, Dakin, TNs,
Daikin.
what is that for?
Those, all of our HVAC in this side, the elementary and the board office are Daikin. It's a trademarked name. It's a type of HVAC unit, and they needed significant repair.
That's all I have.
Anyone else? Got a motion and a second. The transfer payment of bills. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Item 6, reorganization of the board. Certify election results.
All right. So the April general municipal election results are as follows. In the Osage County member election, there was a total of 790 votes cast. 166 for Hannah Swan, 335 for Mark Baker, and 281 for Brad Peterson, with write-ins at a total of 8. In the Gasconade County, same election, there was a total of 6 votes cast, 0 for Ms. Swan, 3 for Mr. Baker, and 3 for Mr. Peterson, with 0 write-ins, leaving our 2 open seats will be inhabited by Mr. Mark Baker and Brad Peterson. For Proposition W, Osage County bond election, we had 456 total votes, 306 yes, 150 no. Our Gasconade County bond election had a total of 3 votes, 3 yes, and 0 no, with a total of 459 votes, 309 yes, 150 no, approving the proposition at a rate of 67.32%, with 57.14% required for approval.
Very good. Do we actually need to do anything with that or just announce it?
Now you need to certify the results.
Okay, can I get a motion to certify the election results as read?
I move we certify election results as read.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. 6.2, swearing in of the directors.
Be Mr. Baker.
So, being the secretary, I'm the person that does this. So I'll
Sounds great.
cheat sheet here. So I'll read the line and then you repeat after the right hand thing. Yep.
All right.
I, Brad Peterson, do solemnly swear
I, Brad Peterson, do solemnly swear
that I am at least 24 years of age,
that I am at least 24 years of age,
that I am a citizen of the United States,
that I am a citizen of the United States.
and I am a resident taxpayer of the Osage County R2 School District
I am a resident taxpayer of the Osage County R2 School District
and Osage County in the state of Missouri,
in Osage County in the state of Missouri,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Missouri,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Missouri,
and that I will abide by and uphold
that I will abide by and uphold
the Osage County R2 School District Board Member Code of Ethics,
the Osage County R2 School District Board Member Code of Ethics,
and that I will faithfully convene myself in office.
and I will faithfully convene myself in office.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, on behalf of the board, welcome to the school board. All right, next up, election of officers. Can I get nominations for the position of president?
That would be me. Dr.
Okay.
Strong.
Go for it then.
At this time, I'll accept nominations for president of the board.
I move to nominate Sean Strong.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing none. Can I get a motion to cease nominations and elect Dr. Sean Strong as the board president by affirmation?
I make a motion to cease nominations and accept Sean Strong by acclamation.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
And with that, welcome the new board president for another year returning, Dr. Strong.
Thank you for the vote of confidence.
I turn the board over to you, sir.
Could I get nominations for the position of vice president?
Nomination.
Yes.
I would like to nominate Mark Baker for vice president.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Other nominations? Hearing none, have a motion and a second. We elect Mark Baker as vice president by affirmation. Do we need to,
I think it's something needs to move, right?
do I need a motion? For the vote?
I move we cease nominations and elect Mark Baker vice president by affirmation.
I think you're right. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right. Mark Baker is appointed vice president by affirmation. I didn't need to vote on that, did I?
Not only if there's multiple.
That's what I thought. All right, can I get a motion for the position of secretary?
Do you want it?
I'll make a motion. That Lori Greer for secretary.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for position of secretary Lori Greer. Do I have other nominations? Hearing none, can I get a motion for nominations to cease and election by affirmation?
I move nomination cease and we elect Lori Greer secretary by affirmation.
I'll second.
We have a nominated motion and a second to elect Lori Greer secretary by affirmation. Congratulations. Next. Treasurer, can I get a motion to elect a treasurer? Oh, it is, but We elect all of them.
I move that I nominate Naomi Ozak to be treasurer.
Oh, thanks.
I got a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Other nominations? Hearing none, can I get a motion to cease nominations and elect Naomi by affirmation?
Move we cease nominations and elect Naomi by affirmation.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second for nomination to cease. And congratulations. Custodial records, we need to do that one too.
Yes, we need to appoint one. It's usually the superintendent.
Okay, can I get a motion to appoint Bob as custodian records?
I'll make the motion to appoint Bob as the custodian of records.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Further nominations? Hearing none, can I get a motion to use nominations and appoint Bob by affirmation?
I move we cease nominations and appoint Bob to be custodian of records by affirmation.
Can I get a
I'll
second?
second.
Perfect. Congratulations, Bob.
Thank you.
All right. We got that done. All right, that'll be the most awkward part of the meeting. Okay. And on behalf of the board, I appreciate everybody's willingness to serve in these positions. With that, we're moving on to reports. High school, middle school.
Good evening. So I sent a very extensive report. I'm not going over all of it. A lot of it was just for your information more than anything. So this is definitely the busy time of the year. The high school gets a little crazy, but it's so much fun seeing everything end and the new beginnings and all that good stuff. So Mrs. Wolf and I have finalized the master schedule for next fall. We were able to add, I think, what was it, 11 new courses to the course schedule. The reason we did that, we had the students actually take surveys in February and we gave them all kinds of choices. They kind of let us know what they wanted. So I put the whole list on there. A couple exciting ones that I have are, we're gonna have an honors math class for our incoming freshmen. What that's going to look like, it's going to have those kids that are more at the higher levels on a more accelerated track to get to those higher levels their senior year. So that freshman year, they're going to take one semester of Algebra 1. The second semester is going to be geometry. So it's pretty much their freshman, sophomore year combined to one. And it's going to be more the students that are higher on their math testing scores and recommended by that 8th grade teacher to take those courses. So hopefully by then we'll have some more higher level math kiddos as we go. So I'm pretty excited about that one. And then we had quite a few students that wanted to take the ACT prep class. So we were excited to add that one. I know that's a goal for our next year, is to increase our test scores. So that was another exciting one, but just adding all those extra courses to give our kids some more options is really exciting. So they're going to do their official schedules in May and we'll have them ready to go.
So is our goal to get more kids into calc with the math?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, because right now, normally if students are going at the track they're just going to get to that algebra 2. Right, Algebra 2 and trig, is that what that one is? College algebra, that's the one it is, but they can't ever get to that calculus class unless they double up their math somewhere along the road. And math is something that I know as a kid, I would not want to double up. So that's why we thought if we could get some of those kids early so that they can get to that calculus by the time they're a senior.
Very good.
So
How many do we have in calc now?
In calc now, we had, was it 3, 4? In our calculus class, 3 right now.
And how many years will it take before we'll see?
So these are gonna be freshmen, so they're gonna be seniors, so it'll take us about 4 years to get there. But I know when Mrs. Voss and I were looking at some of the numbers, we should have about at least 12, 13, 14 kids in that honors math class. So then by the time they're seniors, we should have 12, 13, 14 in that calculus class.
Very good.
So we're hoping to be able to move that up. So that's what we're hoping for. So then also the end of the year comes with our 5th graders moving on up to 6th grade and our 8th graders becoming freshmen. We have orientation set for our both those groups on April 30th. Super excited to get them in to see everything new in our buildings. So with instruction, our teachers have been working hard to prepare for state testing. They're doing lots of review right now to try to work on those EOCs and those MAP testing scores. And I gave the dates on there. We're going to start with our middle school MAP testing April 23rd through 26th. And then our 8th graders are going to finish up that next week with their science. And then our EOCs are going to take place April 30th through May 3rd. So we're excited to let the students show what they know on those tests and hopefully raise those scores. We're really excited about their progress. And with our PD for February, we listened to the board and we added some mental health training for our staff for the whole district. We did, the OC AdCat got a grant and they came in and they did teen mental health for our staff. Then also they came in and they did teen mental health for our seniors and our sophomores as well. So all those students will have gone through the course. Next year, they'll come in and do our seniors and sophomores again. Then eventually each year we'll just do our sophomores every year so that those students, by the time they go to college, will have some skills in case they're out there on their own to know how to help themselves or help their friends. So we thought that was a really, really great PD that OC Cat did for us. And then the other one we did was Joe Loschstedt from Columbia. He's the assistant principal at Lang Middle School. He came in and talked to our teachers about the rigor of our assessments and our instruction. So our staff got a lot of learning on, it's not just making a test harder. It's not just giving them more work. It's actually making those questions higher level questions. So we're going to add a lot of that into our instruction and our planning for next year. And I sent a link with all of our data from our evaluate, and a lot of our scores at the middle school are going up. We did notice a few of our scores at the high school level are starting to get a little stagnant. We're gonna look over the next week or so what we can do with those before those EOCs and testing time comes about. But that's why we do these tests, to show exactly where we need to add stuff in before we get to those EOCs. And then we've also been looking at some different platforms other than just evaluate for next year. I know our math teachers at the middle school like evaluate, our ELA and our math teachers at high school do not. So next year, we're gonna pilot a couple of programs, compare them to evaluate, see what we like, and see what'll work better for our kiddos. And then for our culture, I added lots of stuff on there. Mrs. Miller did our docudrama last week. That's where they come in and they talk about distracted and impaired driving. It was a really neat program. We had the Grim Reaper come in and actually kind of show the kids every 15 minutes that somebody could not be with us anymore due to distracted driving. It's really a powerful program, and it's really neat that she does that every year. And then our FFA has been doing amazing things. They got the Superior Chapter Award at their last conference, so we're really excited about that. 3 of our FFA teams are going to go to state, and then we had 8 students that will get their state FFA degree, I think on Friday, if I'm correct. So, and there's lots of other awards on there I added in there for you guys to see too. And then I also added our graduation schedule because we hope that the board can attend all of our fun graduation activities, graduation week. Does anybody have any questions for me?
So that to go back to what we started with on the new classes, is that
Yes.
outdoor skills class, is that like considered a PE class? Or
It is,
I'm really
yes.
intrigued by this.
So it's gonna be considered a PE class. They did it a few years ago for the middle school as kind of an X-Flow. Jordan Estrada has actually taught a similar class at another school he was at. It's gonna be more like fishing and how to build a fire and how to go, do camping. I said I want them to be given like a whole tent set, and then I want to time them and see if they can put a tent up. I really would. And then in the wintertime, when they can't be outside, they can plan camping trips, they can do all kinds of stuff, anything outdoors. So we just thought that'd be something fun and interesting to go with that PE credit.
That's great.
Yeah, trying to get creative.
That's the tents next door.
Yes, we'll come borrow them, because I would like to just sit and watch them try to put up tents. That would be entertaining. Right. It's just-
All right, thank you very much. Student council.
Good evening, members. Thank you for allowing us to include information in your packets about what students are doing here at Lynn High School. We're Sophie Voss and Reed Baker, and we're happy to answer any questions to the best we can about activities that have happened at school since returning from Christmas break. A few highlights were successful homecoming week in February. We had a great participation as far as students and school spirit, and we're excited to get to do it twice next year with football.
Our sports are moving on with track, golf, and baseball. Many of our clubs, as you have probably seen, have taken lots of competitions and field trips, and is keeping everyone busy and working hard to stay on top of their classes and homework. Coming up, we're gearing up for EOC testing in the classrooms, but we're also doing some fun things such as FFA state convention and powder puff football that the entire student body can watch. The end of the year is busy, but we're all having fun and enjoying it. Thank you again for having us. Is there any questions you have about anything we've done at school?
Any questions?
Do you want us to ask you questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
How did FBLA go?
Oh, well, it was fun, I guess.
Yes.
One team actually got to compete, but it was fun. We got to go down there with Baker and Sassman and go around Springfield. It was fun.
All good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent report.
Awesome. I know you guys saw my report, a lot about facilities and budget in there. Culture, climate, and relationships, still focused on finishing the year on positive notes. The early out this week, we'll be doing a barbecue. We've already started thinking about Teacher Appreciation Week. Also, that last week of school end of year awards. And Ms. Higginbotham and Ms. Sassman have worked with their leadership teams to begin a Teacher of the Year, classified staff member of the year nomination form, so we can celebrate some great teaching and great work on campuses. Personnel and staffing, you'll see a couple of recommended new hires this evening. Recruiting season is in full swing. Of particular importance, I know I've brought it up to you guys several times. Every superintendent session that I come into, we're talking about base salary. So I outlined there in our new conference, Harrisburg at 42,000, Eugene at 40, South Callaway at 37.4, Fayette and New Bloomfield at 36.5. We are currently at 35.3, with Russellville at 34.5 and Tipton at 33.5. What was interesting is I thought that, man, we're already back at third from the bottom. But even if we added $1,000 to the base salary, we're still at third from the bottom, and I'm not a big fan of that. And so that still will be a focus through the budget process. I am optimistic about some of the mandated increases, specifically the $40,000 minimum salary increase, but that doesn't solve all of our problems, because what that does is compress our 0 to 9 year teachers where they're all making the exact same thing. And now we get a 10, 11 year teacher that comes in that's only making $500 more. Still big concerns there. Professional development, emphasis on front loading our learning with our exchange days over the summer. I'm excited to see how that turns out. And we'll have an emphasis on culture and climate as we come back. Mr. Phil Boyd would come in. That's August 15th. And I would love for any and all of you to come experience that with us. We're still trying to balance internal and external PD and struggling really to spend our PD money. One of the constraints that we're running up against is, even if we have a teacher that can find something real good, well, they'd feel guilty about being out of the classroom, or maybe we don't have a substitute. And so really working on trying to figure out how we can support them so that they can get out and have new learning experiences. Facilities get a lot of questions, especially since the bond addressing the press box funding. So I wanted to say publicly that that'll end up being somewhere in the $75,000 to $100,000 range project, but the district is not footing that bill. We will be responsible for contributing up to $25,000. The balance of that is boosters, and it is moving along very, very quickly. And it should be a great asset, not just for football, but for track, any other event that we want to have out there. Somebody asked me too about an outside graduation, which I thought was interesting. I went back and forth on that in different schools, inside versus outside. We did pass our bond. There is a lot of paperwork that I didn't realize that I would be doing. So a lot of focus on that. We have the track resurface scheduled. We're coordinating stadium lighting and fencing, outdoor maintenance, summer projects. We'll be hiring some part-time folks. We did have one of our 2 pumps in the heating system go down, which will be about $5,000 or $6,000. It's a 25-year-old system that was intended to last 15 to 18 years. And so we got a few years free out of that. Athletics and fine arts, elementary spring concert was great. We do have 5 applicants as of when I wrote this report for the band director's position. Quite a bit of experience, a range of experience in there, and a couple folks I'm pretty excited about. We will be recommending a choir director in closed session. Track and baseball are in full swing. It's wonderful weather. And also wanted to highlight that I'm seeing a lot of our athletes in off-season training as well. They don't necessarily play track or play baseball, or run track or play baseball, but they're still in the weight room and they're still doing off-season. Budget and finance have already had a coordination meeting between Stiefel, MoCat, and our owner rep, Navigate. That I've gotten quite a few questions about MoCat also. To put it in a nutshell, just one more time, all they do, it takes us a while to spend our bond proceeds. We can put that in an account that makes money for us. And so the primary concern of that account is safety, meaning we won't lose any money whatsoever. That will only grow. The second is liquidity, which means when we're ready to pay for a piece of our construction, we can just pay for it. We don't have to wait on it. And then the third is return. And so it's pretty exciting to look. Right now, interest rates are dropping, believe it or not, which means the bond market is going up. Our bonds will be worth more in a year or two than when we sell them. So we think our MoCat investment will actually yield some significant money, very conservatively, $500,000 to $1 million that we'll get extra to either make those projects better or do them more extensively. We talked a little bit about with a couple of you, our last project or our last priority on the bond was the lease purchase. gotten a lot of questions about that also. We have not leased any property. What we've done is leased the work to resurface the track and for the fence. And at that time, we didn't know quite a few moving pieces with Senate's legislative session coming through. We're gonna lose some money there. We're gonna lose some money potentially with Senate Bill 727 with property taxes. Bottom line, we'll be tighter this year's coming budget than we wanted to. If we were to consider at some point going ahead and paying for that track, that lease purchase as an option, that would free up money that I could use for salaries. So I'd like to talk about that in a work session later on. Having said that, that is really cheap money, but the $62,000 we're paying every year, we can move to salaries and benefits. And I think we need to prioritize that. You see my emphasis, salaries, instruction and facilities, a lot of legislative changes to our state adequacy target, property taxes and minimum salary. Transportation rates have gone up slightly within reason, and we've already received our estimate from Three Rivers next year. And that'll be about a 4.5% increase for us. So a lot of things coming to bear on the budget. Look forward to a preliminary budget at our next board meeting.
Very good. A lot there. Any questions? A lot of moving parts. A lot will happen in the next 3 weeks as the Senate takes up the budget. All right, discussion items, library program evaluation.
Robin Baker, Leah Udi. We are the librarians in the elementary and middle school, high school, and we sent a report. I think that's probably in your packet. If you have any questions, I don't know. Highlights for us. I feel like we're getting the grip. We're getting back in the groove of things now, right? Both in different spots and year two. So
Yes.
I know at the high school level, I'm just middle school, high school, I'm just trying to make sure middle schoolers have books that are appropriate for them, but high school has books that are good for them. We've got our middle schoolers coming in every other week, which I really like. It's helped our checkout and all of that. And I'm also trying to get rid of some books that are very, very old. But that's a process.
Right. Weeding is also an ongoing process at the elementary level. One of my big things that I'm working on is to make sure that the layout of the library is easy for our younger kids to find the books they're looking for, make it as easy for them as possible. They don't always have to turn to me. They know how to do it themselves too.
For the weeding process, do we have an average age of our current books by any chance?
Yes,
It may have been in there, maybe I
yeah,
missed
it's
it.
on there. At the high school, the average age is 2007, but the fiction section, which is where most kids are getting books, is 2010.
And elementary, our library collection has an average age of 2006.
How does that compare? I'm just curious.
I know, I remember looking last year when I was updating this last year for the library, the elementary side of things, it was 2004 to 2006. So we did some older books, bought some newer books.
My biggest problem in the high school is the nonfiction section, so stuff that doesn't change, the history, the stuff about cars, all of those things, which doesn't really change, but sometimes you just need an updated look. So that's what I'm gonna try to tackle without throwing away anything that's very, very important. Because
When you talk
Mr.
age-
Hunt keeps me on my toes when he comes to stuff.
When you talk age of books, do you talk about, is it copyright or the physical age of the book?
It's usually the copyright
Okay.
of the book. Yeah. So, and that's another thing we probably need to think about at some point. I know when I'm weeding, I have a cart full of books, and several years ago in the elementary, we gave them away to kids. I'm not sure, at some point we might need to have a discussion about how we get rid of these books, because you can recycle them, or you can give them away, or we can stick them in boxes and stick them in warehouses. If that too. So,
do you
which is a great idea.
Do you look at, the book hasn't been checked out in 3 years, it's time to get rid of it?
Right.
that, we look at the wear and tear to the book, how popular it is, yeah.
And if it's popular and it's worn out, then
Fine,
we
you can replace
we
them.
replace them.
Amazon is a wonderful thing.
Mhm.
It is to replace those.
All right, very good. Any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Technology program evaluation.
Short, we're coming close to our finishing our first year on Infinite Campus. It's been a big deal, big push. Just transitioning to this, it pretty much affects just about every staff member, everybody, almost everybody uses it. So it's been a big change and everybody's getting used to the new system. Everything's going well, everybody's getting it figured out. So now I'm starting to work on getting with staff members and find out what can we improve on, what can we fix, what can we just kind of make better. Earlier this year, we just kind of were focused on making it work. Now we're just kind of working on making it better. That has been the big push for this year, but there's been several other projects going on. I've recently received some new server hardware, so replace some old and aging equipment that we're using that kind of help keep our back end kind of updated. That way it'll let me proceed with updating end stations and end user devices. Got a new inventory and ticketing system that I'm working on implementing that will just kind of help me more efficiently track assets and work tickets and kind of tying work tickets to assets to kind of better be able to look up what problem devices I have and kind of better keep track of that kind of thing. Since July 1 of this last year, I've built probably over 1,200 technology support tickets. That's just the tickets that come into the help desk system. That's not including phone calls, emails just to me, that kind of thing. So it's been very busy. I want to say a special thank you to Robin Baker. She handles a lot of the student Chromebooks in the high school. She kind of runs frontline there. So if kids have problems with Chromebooks, they go see her first. A lot of times she can fix them with resets or user issues, and she can take care of a lot of things before they get to me. That takes a lot of load off me, so I really appreciate that. Soon we'll start map testing, standardized testing, ACT, EOCs, all that. So a lot of heavy utilization days coming up. We're going to be hitting the Chromebooks pretty hard. Another thing we're looking at is replacing our aging surveillance servers. They're getting old, they're not really supported anymore, so replace them with a new system. I'm talking to Mr. James about since security is a focus of one of the focuses of Prop W, maybe leveraging some of those funds to kind of help take care of that system, to kind of free up kind of general funds up for some other projects. Looking forward, planning on doing a lot of projects, a lot of catch up from last year. Infinite Campus was a lot bigger of a time suck this summer than I had expected. It was pretty much my entire summer and spring last year. So a lot of maintenance things kind of didn't get done. So I'm just kind of working on kind of catching up on a lot of that this summer. Also Prop W, as that ball gets rolling, that's going to bring a lot of new projects, especially with new high school. That's going to be a big thing to plan and implement and kind of work on. So that's going to be another big project coming up soon. So that's kind of the biggies for technology this year. Does anyone have any questions?
I just have one thing. If you're investigating other things that you can do for Infinite Campus, as a parent, I know I struggle with understanding what my child has to do. And I know a lot of the teachers use Google Classroom. If there's anything that could be like a go-between systems to help with that communication, I would think there's got to be some tool out there, but if you're investigating, would you just keep that in mind is all I'm asking.
Okay, yeah, I will. Usually most teachers have their Google Classroom synced with Infinite Campus gradebook there. So the gradebook and campus should reflect their
It just doesn't, as a parent, show you what is coming due. So if you're trying to make sure your child is staying ahead and not falling behind, it's not assisting you with that.
Okay.
And on top of that, and just conversations with teachers I've had, they don't know what parents see. So that might be another technical education thing for them to give them, you know, here's what the parents are seeing, here's what they understand and what they need to know, and just giving more support in that direction. But again, I don't know what's out there, if there is even anything, but if you're out there exploring, I know I'll be selfish and say that's something I think a lot of parents might need or
Okay.
like to have.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I think the Infinite Campus is an improvement. It's easier for me to mess around with and find things.
Mhm.
I think it's been good from what I see.
Yeah, when we went to Tyler SIS almost 10 years ago, it was almost identical to the way it is now. So in that 10 years we were on it, it really didn't change. So this is kind of a big step forward. It's been put in the system.
There, Jamie, what I think you're referring to would be specific software programs teachers would use to announce things that they're to do. I don't think that mechanism exists in Infinite Campus. I don't know, Eric, correct me if I'm wrong. It would be, I just see that more so as coming out of a Google Classroom situation and calendars and things that each teacher would.
Yeah, it depends, but like right now for Google Classrooms, it'll send you like a weekly notice, but it's usually for me past due by the time I understand what's late or what he has to be working on.
All right.
And on top of that, with the teachers and how they do the assignments, at least not for all of them, but for some of them, they put in assignments. It looks like it's past due, it's late, but it's really just a marker, something saying that they accomplished in the classroom. So it's just a little confusing as a parent, especially if you're trying to understand it all. But I just figured there's got to be some simpler technology method or more education for parents to say, hey, here's what's out there. Here's what you should be getting from Google Classroom, because a lot of it I hear is, well, have your son or your child sign into Google Classroom and show you. Well, if your child is at school or you're at a board meeting, sometimes that doesn't work out. And a lot of times I get an excuse of, oh, I left my Chromebook at school. So it'd just be nice to have a better communication or a tool available for parents to say, okay, what do I need to see? What do I need to do? But
I know I can research it more, but I know in Google Classroom, there's a setting to change it. You either get weekly updates or daily updates that can be changed to daily. It runs the issue of not getting alerts on things until after they're due. That might help, but I'll certainly look into it.
thanks.
All right, anybody else? Thank you very much. All right, board manual.
Board manual. So we had a new addition to the Board of Education, Mr. Peterson. So didn't put that last year because we had 2 open spots and 2 people that ran. So we didn't need to do any of this. So honestly, I was looking at other things. And so I didn't know exactly what onboarding was supposed to look like. What am I supposed to give him? So I went to our superintendent conference and just said, what do you guys do? And what I found out is that they have board manuals and agendas for onboarding and some other stuff. So I included a copy from New Bloomfield. Dr. Wisdom went ahead and sent me a digital scan of that. Also asked what their process was. The number one process was generally to bring in an outside consultant. It's usually somebody who's a retired superintendent, because the superintendent would be too biased maybe in that, I think is why they bring somebody else in. Most people would suggest Dr. Jim Henson, who is a retired superintendent, to do that. Just comes in and helps us build a manual for that type of thing. New Bloomfields was, I think, 75 or 77 pages. I want to be careful with one that's that large because I like how thorough it is, but I like for you guys to have some flexibility. And I don't want to recreate what our policy document is, but somewhere in between 0 and 75 pages would be a good guideline. And honestly, if we brought in a Jim Henson, he would work with you guys to decide what you wanted that to look like and what the purpose might be. If you guys are interested, he would come and do a board presentation in May to just outline the process and see if that's something you want to do.
Discussion.
I'm not interested in paying him to come in here and give us another set of rules at all, actually. The board policies are more than sufficient as far as I'm concerned. I don't think I had any trouble with transition, or anyone else did either. I don't think we need another manual, and I certainly don't want to pay a consultant.
We know how you feel. Any other discussion? I don't have an opinion one way or the other.
I get mostly concerned when I found out how many of them had a board manual. That's when I go, well, maybe there's something I don't know that everybody else knows that they lean on. And so when I find something out, I bring it to you guys.
Yeah, I think onboarding can be done by conversations. It doesn't have to be a manual or an outside entity coming in there and walking us through it. There's nothing going to be in there that's not in our board policies, which is available for everybody looking.
It's free to have a presentation, not for or against, but it's free to get, to tell you what it is.
I like the board policy with your, in the New Bloomfield one also, and onboarding and all that stuff. It's pretty generic. There's not much, I mean, maybe even just putting a list in there, maybe 5 things that should be maybe discussed or worked towards, just something as guidance. That would be good.
Further discussion?
Sounds to me like we're not even lukewarm. And so we'll just avoid the top.
Okay, moving on.
All right.
I'm good at that. Summer school lunch program.
So this year, we're one behind in our data and figures for students, the number of students that qualify for free and reduced lunch. We're behind that 45% threshold. We will have free and reduced lunch for this coming summer, but if our numbers next year of those that qualify for free and reduced lunch are the same as they were then this year, then we'll need to take a look at either charging for lunch during summer school or including that in the summer school budget. We'll have one of those 2 options, but we won't qualify for reimbursement. And that is generally a big change when that's been the case for the last several years. I wanted you guys to be aware of that. I'm going to pay particular attention to our lunch claim numbers from this summer and see what that cost is, so that if we don't meet the threshold, then we'll know what we're looking at as a figure to provide it.
All right, very good. Any questions? Special board meeting bond business.
We've officially hired bond architects to get us this far. We've had some positive and we've had some challenging experience there with the first part of that. But in order to go on to the next part of design and actually construction, we would need to hire them officially. So we need to we need to do one of a couple things. We can go straight to them and say, what are your terms and rates? If we just really like that, then we can move forward with hiring them, or we could go back out to market to hire an altogether different architectural firm. If we do that, in order to keep on schedule for our bonds to fund and a couple other things, we need to do that quickly. In the next couple of weeks, we can't really wait until the May board meeting. That'll be the time when some of our bonds will start to fund. We really need that person in place through that process. Are we interested in seeing rates in that special meeting? And then that'll tell us if we need to go out, and we may just have to defer the sale of bonds if we're just altogether unsatisfied.
What do we think? I'm not a fan of our architect. I mean, there's no secret there, but I've gone through several architects across the street, so I'm probably not the best person to ask. I've got a pretty high standard for architects.
What I found is most executive level, they either love architects or they hate architects. And it's hard to get a kind of in between. And so that doesn't necessarily surprise me. It's kind of hard. I always say choose your stresses. We could choose a different architectural firm. We would have different challenges, would have different faces and names, but
I was disappointed. They told us one thing and then we definitely got the B team until you forced them to bring the A team, and their A team's not that good. But
Yeah, I was incredibly frustrated until they brought reinforcements, I guess you could say. But at the same time, I kind of want to, I feel like we owe it to our community to, stick to a reasonably prompt timeline. And I don't think that what we're building is anything overly complicated that, I would be okay with sticking with them just because I feel like after we repeated ourselves several times, they finally figured out what it was we wanted, but. I guess I don't know what the other options are, and I don't know that I worry that we can waste a bunch of time and then get someone else that's equally as average.
Sounds terrible.
Could I say something about the architects that were the high school architects? Look on the sign, yeah, outside the front door. And do not get that, please.
It's not there.
All you have to do is look at the whole back room and all the other problems we had because of that.
They did not submit a proposal.
Good. If they're still in business.
Bob.
there's someone else's question.
Fatima seems really happy with their architect, they're looking for somebody else to get another from for design.
All right. Thank you for the input. I don't know that we've given you much guidance.
If we want to move forward with consideration of rates with bond, the most, I say flexible, but the most agreeable time is that week of the 29th through the 3rd, 29th, I think, of April through May 3rd. Anytime that week, I can get MoCat, Stiefel, and Navigate in the room, and I thought that would be a good time. Really, Navigate needs to be there, and the architect, but you guys would have an opportunity to hear directly from our MoCat rep, Jason Hoffman, and Stiefel, our bond company, if you would like at that time.
There's not a whole lot they're gonna tell us, but I mean, if you feel like for due diligence, we need to listen to them. I mean, the rates are the rates. At least in my experience, but
It was more of a question and answer if you guys wanted to know timelines and didn't want to have me as a filter, because I am definitely not a bond or a.
sure. They'll just disappoint us with their timeline they give us. But it's a good idea to get them on the records with the timeline. No doubt about that. So when they don't meet it, we can scream about it and they'll say, sorry.
Fair enough. Do we think we can make something that week work?
Yeah, I think we could do something that week.
Would you guys prefer evening time sometime that week? And I'll send out a few different options for dates and times, and then we can do an event scheduler where we just get one nailed down where at least a quorum can be in attendance.
All right,
Awesome.
okay. Action item, occupational therapy contract.
Thank you, guys. Did you all get access to my bid summary?
Yes.
Overview, perfect. Okay, so I'll try and keep this short and sweet. Good news is, the two that we have contracted with this current year, both submitted bids to keep rates the exact same, continue services as they have been served throughout this year. I've been more than satisfied with both our PT and OT. I'll kind of group them together into one. Our related services that we have this year, I've been very impressed with. There's been a couple hiccups that they have been able to smooth over really without me having to get onto them or having really not even to know that there was a hiccup. Like, hey, we missed a session, we're making it up. And you can't ask for more, especially when talking with other directors. This is a pain in their side. This area can be, so we're very lucky to have two very capable and satisfactory companies that we've worked with in the past and put in that bid to continue for next year with no increase. So I don't know what more we could ask for. I did include some other bids that were submitted. But again, my recommendation would be to continue with the two services that we currently have. So chemotherapy LLC, that's Jessica Peters. She's our OT. That would be my recommendation. And then for physical therapy, Warrior Therapy Solutions, that is her name, Andrea Hain, out of Owensville, is the PTA that owns that company. So that'd be my recommendation.
Do we need to do those separately?
Yes, sir.
Can I get a motion to approve SEMO for OT contracts?
I move to approve CMO for occupational therapy contracts.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Close the same. Very good. Can I get a motion to approve Warrior for PT contracts?
I'll make a motion to approve Warrior for PT contracts.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Okay, both motions carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Announcements, commencement. Oh, it's coming right up, isn't it?
Physical therapy.
We did it, Warrior.
Oh, that's both of them.
Yep. We got it. Commencement is May 12th. Let's hope for cool weather that day. The next regular meeting will be shortly thereafter on May 16th. With that, I'll entertain a motion to go to closed session.
I move we adjourn to closed session pursuant to RSMO 610.021 subsections 13 relative to personally identifiable employment information. 3, personnel action. 6, personally identifiable student information. 1, legal actions involving the public body and or privileged communications among that body and its representatives, attorneys.
Very good. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second. Roll call vote. Mark,
Yes.
Lori, Naomi,
Yes.
Brad, Brett,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. We are turned to closed session.
Brad being new to the board.
Yeah.
I think some